Hello and welcome once again to the Growth Mindset Collective. And just like we promised, today we're going to be talking about the razor's edge. So, welcome, Nikki. Great to see you
Thank
today. How are
you.
you today?
Hello, I'm good. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome, Nikki, and let's jump right into it. So, Bob Proctor, which is I started actually personal development at the beginning with Bob Proctor, and we continued learning and expanding our mindset and awareness and everything. So, Bob Proctor concept of the razor's edge is based on the idea that small differences in effort, mindset, and persistence separate high achievers from those who fall short. The phrase suggests that success and failure are often separated by thin, almost imperceivable line. So what is the razor's edge? And Nikki here is gonna take us right through all that.
Oh, I was just going to say that's perfect. Okay, bye.
No, 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 not so fast.
Sums it up quite nicely. It's funny because the razor's edge is such a big tool for us to use, and yet so many of us don't apply it, and we're always going, yeah, it doesn't work. Why is this not working? Why am I not doing so well? Or we're projecting a goal of getting bigger, badder, better, and we're never implementing uh, what is referred to as like the razor's edge. And it makes a huge difference between winning in a big way and losing. The chasm is vast. Let me give you an example. Like when I was a kid, I used to go to the horse races with my family. And we used to, at that time, I don't know how much the bets are, but then it was $2 a bet. So I would watch, my aunts, uncles, my parents, the group of adults, they'd all put $2 down on their bet. And the person, sometimes, we would be down there on the ground and we could hear the horses boom, 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 and you could hear all that strength and that go, and you really get that sense of determination, which is what you have to apply in the razor's edge. And sometimes it was like a photo finish because you couldn't tell which horse passed that line first. But let's say my aunt won first place and my mother won second place. My aunt would win a sizable amount of money. Let's say just for money numbers sake, she'd win $100. My mother, who won second place, would only win $10. And that literally is an example of the razor's edge. If you were to join a program with Ava or myself, and if you had certain intentions, or if you had an accountability program with us, we would do something, we would probably implement something like the razor's edge. Um, because, like, if you took out your calculator and you took out the number three and multiplied it 6 times, and I mean go 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, you'd get 729. Then if we got you to go, that's a third, right? And if we got you to apply a quarter instead of a third, and we'd go and apply, we'd get you to do 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. The answer is 4,096. Now, that is a sizable difference, right? Now, let's say that your results in applying a 333 method is 729 people. And if you go with the quarter method, that's 4,096 people. That is the difference in the razor's edge. Like, so the thing that there's a presupposition in the razor's edge, and that is that you have to know that you have to give something up to get something. And it's usually ours, always something of a lower degree to get it. Like you have to, if you were working with Bob, both Ava and I are love Bob Proctor. He would say, "Well, give me an example of your schedule." And we do that because we want to be transparent. We want to do our best. And he'd say, "Okay," so he wouldn't take anything that is hard for us to change. If he wanted to have an accountability of our change from day one to the last day of our training with him, if he wanted to show a certain increase and have it be there and know we're serious with him, he would say, "Okay, let me see what your day looks like." So I would say my day, and I would say, well, I do meditation, I do some exercise, I take some quiet time, I have my coffee, and then I putter around. In that coffee time, I eat and I putter around for an hour, and then I get started. He would take that putter around for 1 hour, and he would say, "I want you to get in front of people." Depending on the type of business you have, he would say he wants you to be skin to skin meeting somebody by in that time. Like, let's say my schedule, I start work at 9 o'clock. My puttering around is from 8 to 9. He'd say, from 8 to 9 now, you sacrifice your coffee and putter time. And I want to see you in front of people going skin to skin. And I want you to ask at least one person to buy your program or ask every person to buy your program while you're in front of them. So he would take an hour every morning, and that would be our razor's edge. And I think I have it written out here. 1 hour, yes, I do. 1 hour a day out of a week actually gives you 40 extra hours of productivity. And that extra 40 hours of productivity gives you additional weeks, which gives you additional results. And in that could make the difference between you being the horse that gets $100 or the horse that gets $10. Like if you're in a golf tournament, you're watching the guy that is in the PGA tournament and has learned to perfect one thing and gets and wins number one, opposed to the contestant, or I don't know the term for that, the person who comes in second is a substantial amount of money. Yet it's not a big deal. Like you think that the razor's edge or to make a huge substantial change in your life, you have to make huge changes. But Bob would only ask us for an hour that morning, every week, every day, 5 days a week. That would be 40 hours a month. That would be one whole week extra that you get. And that 1 week extra would give you somebody like Ava and I at least 5 new contacts to get in touch with, 5 people to acknowledge for some reason, 5 people to have a conversation with, 5 people to invite, 5 people to discuss the business that we do. That's like 25 people, 10 minutes each, touching 5 people, 10 minutes each in a program. That's a lot. That's a lot of people every single week. And you can make that change in your life just by applying that 1 hour that you weren't doing anything anyway. You're giving something of a lesser value for something of a bigger value. Always, when you're giving up and you live by the law of the universe, you're never giving up a big value to get less. You're
Lots,
always going bigger and better.
yeah, lots of great examples. Um, And honestly, we can go forever here, but it just gives you an example of how much more we could do if we just did a little bit more. So, a salesperson, like Nikki was saying, who makes one more call per day, um, definitely will probably get much better results. A runner who pushes just a little harder in training wins the race, perhaps. A student who reviews their notes for just extra 10 minutes, maybe before the exam, scores much better, right? So, just a little extra push and you just never know where it's gonna take you. But that's the whole point, like I remember when I went into personal development with Bob, I gave up something and some people was like, you're crazy to give up TV. I was like, yeah, I did because it was taking a lot of my time. And what did it give me? Yeah, maybe a few laughs, maybe bigger belly. Um, but otherwise I didn't really gain too much from it. But I wanted to go into personal development and do something better with my own life. And so I gave up TV, not all of it, but I gave up at least 3/4 of my time during the week. I still watch one of my favorite shows, but the rest I dedicate to actually doing something that might be a lot more beneficial for myself at least. So it's just that and it's all about like what can it really do for you, like let's go over that a little bit. One of my favorite, it improves self-discipline because it helps you build resilience and habits that set you apart from others, right? It encourages consistency. Instead of seeking massive leaps, like Nikki says, focus on smaller ones. Consistent, even small, they help in the long run much better sometimes. Overcomes plateaus. The willingness to do just a little bit more pushes you past stagnation when others give up. And I've seen that many times. You're almost there, and oh, you know what? It's not going anywhere. And then you see them give up. And then they kick themselves for that. Because now, maybe a month later, they got to start all over again just to try to get to the same maybe mark again, and then again they might not see results, or they'll get a little and they give up just before they break through. That kind of sucks. Overcome develops an elite mindset. That's one of the other ones that are really beneficial. By choosing to act on the small differences that create greatness, you actually rewire your mind for success. And then I've seen that in myself too. Sometimes it can happen really fast, and sometimes it takes a little bit more time. But as long as you're persistent and dedicated, you'll definitely see results. Right, Nikki?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like the example we've used a couple of other times, if you want to go to New York and you're here, you can draw, and if you could draw a straight line straight to San Francisco and you're here, um, if you modify that just by, let's say, 1% on every day, you will never reach California.
Yeah,
You'll never reach California. The 1% difference makes a huge difference.
exactly. So here are some simple yet effective resources you can use. So basically, identify areas for small improvements. So where you can push just 1% more each day. What could that be? Commit to an extra effort. So decide to go slightly beyond where you normally stop. So this is a great one where you say doing push-ups and or whatever exercise and you go for 5 minutes. Well, now do maybe 6, 7 minutes or whatever, right? Just that a bit extra. And then you find yourself a week from there. It's like that thing that you couldn't do last week now comes so much easier. And that's just exercise, but it applies to many other areas of your life. Track your progress, measure and recognize how small actions lead to bigger results, and reward yourself for it. I'm not saying, like lose 10 pounds and then eat 10 pounds of ice cream. That's how we're talking about, but you know, and you gain it all back. But basically, reward yourself for, staying on track, whether it's, I don't know, buying yourself a nice piece of clothing or going on a movie date. I don't know. but reward yourself, spend that time and say, I'm so grateful that I was able to go this far. And I know next week I'll go even further. And so on, right? So stay disciplined. Keep going even when results are not immediately visible. That's what happened to me a couple times before. It's like, oh, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Oh, maybe. And then, a friend will call me or somebody and it's like, oh, how's that going? And, they give you that encouragement and you write back and you keep going. So that's all you need sometimes, right? And rewire your beliefs. And that's a big one for some people. Understand that success is not about massive changes, but about a slight, consistent edge over time. So these are some of the things that definitely start getting you on the right path to pushing you just a little bit farther and whatever you need to do. Right, Nikki?
Absolutely. Even though this sounds like a competitive state of mind, it doesn't have to be. When you live in a creative world, um, it's just a move forward. It's just a self-discipline, like the you'll find in a lot of the laws is the give and the take and the natural balance that's there. It's just a slight modification and self-discipline and moving forward. It's you don't have to be in any kind of competition.
Exactly. So, final thoughts here. The razor's edge is not about doing 100 times more. It's about doing just enough extra to move past the crowd. Success is not about working harder. It's about working smarter and more persistently. So if you feel like maybe you need some extra help, we are here for you. We have excellent programs that can help you through this. If you like a worksheet on this, we also have that for you as well. So reach out to us if you like a worksheet. It's got some excellent tips for you, extra tips. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed our Growth Mindset Collective today. And thank you, Nikki, for all the wonderful golden nuggets here. And we'll catch you guys in about 2 weeks. And stay tuned as we're going to post our next topic soon. So wishing everyone a wonderful day. Thank you, Nikki. And thanks everyone for watching.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.